Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. We're doing a Which is Better today, and it's a pretty big one.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So just to be clear, today's Which is Better is about two Hulkbuster Iron Man figures. The first one that we'll be looking at is the Marvel Select Hulkbuster Iron Man figure, and the second one that we'll be looking at is the new Marvel Legends 85th Anniversary Hulkbuster Iron Man figure. And the first round, when I do a Which is Better comparison, is about the paint and overall appearance. So let's take a look at the Select Iron Man in his Hulkbuster armor. And for this one, it is very shiny. This is like a nice candy apple cherry red on there. The gold is painted in a way that kind of makes it look like it's popping, like it is actually metallic, even though we do have a plastic figure. The one thing that I've always kind of disliked about this figure is that the head is so sunken in. Like, there is facial detail there, but it's sunken in under the collar here, which kind of makes it hard to see. It also makes it very hard to pose around. But moving it around, looking around at it, you can see how the light is reflecting very nicely off this. We do have the wrist guards, which are a little exaggerated. They go beyond the elbow. We do have the shoulder pads. That's the same on both arms. We do see some nice rivets in the arms as well. There is some nice detail on the chest there underneath the arc reactor. And just spinning it around, we do have a lot of detail on the back, a lot of more rivets all over the back. We do have these pauldrons that stick out of the back. Looking down to the legs, we do have mechanical sculpting towards the bottom of the legs. But again, everywhere, we have these nice rivets. We have, again, on the front of the legs, we have the armor pieces that are a little, again, exaggerated and go around the bottom of the leg. And then even down to the feet, just more metal details, armor details, mechanical detailing. And then even at the bottom of the feet, you can see where the thrusters would be happening. There's even a toe groove. So a lot of detail on this figure, a lot of nice paint applications. For the Marvel Legends one, you can see that, the paint isn't as shiny. It's a little duller, in my opinion. But we, again, have, a lot of the mechanical detailing here on the arms. We have some nice, patterns on the armor, which the other one had as well. But, again, we do have, the flare, the exaggeration of the armor pieces coming off on the arms. Some nice mechanical detail here, right by... So this part of the armor... I'm going to talk about something else in a minute regarding that, but looking at it, I don't quite see all the rivets that the other one had. This armor is actually quite smooth. We do have these pauldrons here. We have this detailing in the back. We have some nice mechanical detailing on the back of the arm, which the Select one had, but not quite in as much detail. It's just 3 pillars, where this is one central pillar and a lot of other mechanical wires and such. Going down to the legs, again, we have some armor details, but again, we're missing all those rivets and making it look like things are armored, but we can swirl the legs around and see all these mechanical details in the legs, which is neat. Again, we have the bottom of the calf armor. This has some very nicely painted detail around those rivets and stuff, as well as, the nicely sculpted knee pads. Going down to the feet, we do have those thrusters and that toe groove, but this is painted to kind of highlight that thruster section. One other thing I wanted to point out is that this armor actually has a lot of removable pieces, so you can take off this chest piece as well as the back, which I'm going to struggle to do on camera now. There we go. And when you take off the back, you can see there's all this detail. There's spinal detail on here, so there's this hidden detail, as well as on the front, there is this extra detail. And then you can actually pop this helmet off, and there's all this detail in the armor as well. So this one actually has a lot of hidden detail. And I kind of question why you leave all this really nicely detailed stuff hidden. It's I'm going to cover it up with the armor. I guess if you want to do action figure photography, have this fighting a Hulk, you could, remove these armor pieces to make it look like it's been through a battle. And that would be the way that you could, do that and accomplish that. There is also an accessory that I'll talk about more a little later as we go, but there is a Tony Stark accessory that has some nicely detailed armor pieces around it. That's meant to be like an unmask, so you can put it here on the head. We'll talk about that more later. But so the question really comes down to, which one of these do I think has the better overall paint and appearance? And this is kind of a tough call because I think this has some very nice hidden features, but all these features are right here for you to see. I've also said it before when I've talked about Iron Man figures. I like Iron Man figures to be nice and shiny and metallic looking, and this one looks more metallic than this one. So I'm giving the paint and overall appearance round to my Selects Marvel Selects Hulkbuster Iron Man. And the second round is about articulation, and we are going to start with the Selects one. Selects always kind of have a bit of limited articulation, but we're still going to go through this. Now, like I said, there is some head movement on this figure, but because it's so hard to get to this head, it's very hard to kind of play with. So the head does move left and right. I don't know if it moves up and down. I can definitely get it left and right, but it's kind of stuck everywhere else. So the head's a little limited. These shoulder pads are on like ball joints of their own, so they can move up and down and kind of around, and you can kind of get them to move with the arm, but after a while I feel like they stop looking as good. So the armor is articulated. That is a point to talk about. In terms of the arms proper, they can go out and they can go forward and back. The armor will kind of, get in the way a little bit. You're going to have to kind of work around the armor. In terms of rotation, we do have rotation right there at the shoulder joint. We have a single jointed elbow bend, but we do have rotation at the elbow as well. And the hands are on ball joints, so you can actually get these hands to go in and out and up and down, as well as twisting, which is pretty neat. So some decent articulation in the arms. In terms of the body, you just have movement up here at the midsection, so it can move left and right. And there's a little bit of up and down, as you can see, a little bit of rocking, not a whole lot. At the legs, we have a leg joint that is, you have to turn the leg a little bit in order to get it to kick forward, but it can kick forward and it can kick back and it can kick out, which is pretty good. There is, of course, rotation right there at that joint as well. We do have single jointed knee, but there is articulation at the knee, so you can rotate it at the knee. So you do have quite a bit of articulation there. At the foot, we have some up and down. We have some left and right ankle pivot. So, some pretty decent movement on this figure. Marvel Selects, I think, have come a long way with their articulation. So he has some pretty good articulation. Looking at the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster Iron Man, we have the head on a ball joint here that, I'll pop this off again. This joint moves like this, so there's one bit of movement there, and then there is a ball joint on top of it. So you have a lot of moving capability, but with this flat head just kind of being on it, like, yeah, you can move up and down a little bit. There you go, and you can move his head. So it's easier to do than the Selects one. I will say that. At the body, we have midsection cut, which will allow you to turn, and gets a little significantly more up and down. Still not a lot, but more up and down. We also have a lower swivel at the bottom of the body, so we do have twice the rotation compared to the Selects one. At the arms, these armor pieces are on that like track, so they'll move with the arm, so you can actually have them move pretty well, and they don't really inhibit the arms when you want to put the arms out. Arms only go about that high, but it's there. You do have rotation right here. Again, at the top of the arm, we have a single jointed elbow as well, but we do have rotation at the elbow. In terms of the hands, these will rotate, and then they are on the in and out joint, so you can move them in and out. Going down to the legs, we do have the ability to kick out and kick back. Actually, no kick back. These aren't moving back, but they will kick out pretty far. You get a decent split on this one. We do have thigh rotation. We actually have a double jointed knee, and this I was very surprised to see, but big, thick, double jointed knees there, so that's pretty impressive. Clicking that back down, we do have at the foot, we have, of course, forward and back movement, and we have ankle pivot. So these are very similar in terms of articulation, but the Marvel Legends one definitely benefits from, the past couple years of action figure technology moving forward, improved articulation schemes. So just by a little bit, just because he's got a little bit of extra movement, I like the way the shoulder pieces move better as well. I'm giving my second round to the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster Iron Man. Again, it just moves just a little bit better in a few places. For my third round, we're talking about accessories, and there's no accessories to talk about with the Marvel Selects Iron Man. What you see is what you got. There's no interchangeable hands, no interchangeable faces. It's just this. And I did have to check this a little bit because I bought this loose at a toy show a number of years ago. And I wasn't sure if maybe I just bought one that didn't have any parts. But no, it really doesn't, near as I can tell. I've been looking online at stuff, and it seems that there's nothing else in the package. So he has no accessories at all. For the new Hulkbuster, I already brought it out, but I'm going to bring it out again. There is this really nice Tony Stark head. And I guess this is meant to be, if you want it to be helmet off kind of thing. You pop off the Hulkbuster armor faceplate, and you can pop on this Tony Stark head, which you do have to apply a little bit of force in order to get, but it looks really good. Like, having Iron Man's head sticking out like this is really, really cool. And I like that it's not a helmet that goes over this head, because sometimes that doesn't work out as well. I like that it is indeed an interchangeable head. So you do have that option, which looks pretty neat. You also have another option to change pieces out, in that you have two big Hulkbuster fists. And, if you're fighting the Hulk, you probably don't want open hands. One of the things I was surprised is these are like hands that can hold stuff, but they're not like blaster hands. So I was actually a little surprised that we didn't get blaster hands with this for the open option. But instead we do have the fists. So just like Marvel Legends, as you might expect, you can pop out one hand, put in the new one. And the plastic on this does feel a little soft. I'm not getting like satisfying pops when I'm swapping parts on this. Like, normally you hear like that click, that pop. I don't feel like I'm getting that on this, but now he's got his fists, so he could throw down properly with the Hulk or any other threat he might have to take out in this Hulkbuster armor. But I'm going to return this back to having the Hulkbuster head on it. So he looks like this. And I mean, just because he comes with accessories where the other does not, the Hulkbuster Marvel Legends 85th Anniversary Hulkbuster Iron Man is going to win this round. Again, he just has accessories, which is a big deal, but also I think they look really cool. I think they're very neat and well thought out accessories. Round 4 is about the price of these figures. The Marvel Selects one over here on the left of your screen goes for anywhere between $30 to $60. I'm starting to see that price get lower and lower and be more towards the 30 end of the side. But this is, a figure that you might be able to find in specialty stores and comic shops or at, toy shows and stuff. I don't necessarily know if online is the best way to go for it. I have seen this at a high price online on places like Big Bad Toy Store and Amazon. I think it was rare when it came out, or got rare. But, now it seems to be going down on eBay. So, eBay might be the best route if you want to pick up this figure. The Marvel Legends one over here on the right of the screen is currently available on Hasbro Pulse as of the recording of this video at the $60 price tag. And I know a lot of collectors kind of scoffed at that price when this was announced. I will admit, I was honestly a little surprised. I like having certain Iron Man armors. This was definitely one of my favorite Iron Man armors, so I wanted to get this. I don't know if I can really justify $60. It's not a bad figure, but it was a high price tag. I know a lot of people wait for things to get clearanced out, go to Ross or whatever. I don't know if that's going to be the case with this 85th anniversary stuff. I could be wrong. In a couple months, in a year from now, you might be finding this for like $25 at Ross. Who knows? I can't guarantee it. But in September of 2024, when I got this and when I'm recording this video, it is $60 online, Hasbro Pulse, Big Bad Toy Store, places like that. So just because the price is kind of starting to come down, kind of starting to change, I'm going to give round 4 to the Selects version of the Hulkbuster Armor Iron Man, this might be a little easier on your wallet at the moment, especially if you don't really want to play the waiting game to see if the other one gets priced out in a year or two. So there we go. I'm giving it to the Selects one. My last round is about display compatibility. Like I've mentioned, I like having certain Iron Man armors. There are Iron Man armors that I really like to own, really like to display, the ones that are near and dear to my heart. And the Hulkbuster one is one simply because I had the original Hulkbuster armor Iron Man from the Iron Man animated TV show toy line back in the 90s. So I fell in love with the Hulkbuster armor. It was a big, kind of beefy action figure, and it was a little bit bigger than the other ones in that line. So I thought it was like this nice, powerful Iron Man armor. And it has to be because it's going up against the Hulk. So I think the best thing to compare this to would be a Hulk figure. So here is the Avengers Hulk figure from the 2-pack with Dr. Banner from last year. And one of the things I like to think about when I am thinking about this is how this looks compared to, or how these armors look compared to a modern Hulk figure. So let's look at the Selects one first when compared to a Hulk figure. And honestly, this Hulk is just a little bit bigger than this Selects figure. And I don't know how great that's going to look. You know, if we have these two squaring off, you need something that's going to be more powerful than the Hulk. It's not the armor that is just as powerful as the Hulk. It is the armor meant to bust down, take out the Hulk. So I feel like you need something a little bigger, which is where the new Marvel Legends one comes into play. Because if we put this next to a Hulk, he's a little taller. And, you know, he's a little bigger than the normally Jade Giant. This is, of course, a Gray Hulk. So this is an armor that could be looking down at the Hulk. You know, the Hulk's going to be looking up to this one. This is one that could probably land a punch on him pretty nicely. Not that either of these are bad, but this is really what I start to question as to what I think is going to be the better, you know, the better scale. One other thing to mention is that if you are collecting Selects, I've seen Select Hulk figures, and they are significantly larger than this Hulk figure and this Hulkbuster. So I feel like this is already dwarfed when you compare it to Hulk, you know, to Select Hulk figures, and just, you know, like I had a Marvel Legends Hulk up there. So that is something to think about. You know, the Hulkbuster armor should be bigger than the Hulk. It needs to bust him. It shouldn't just be a bulky armor. That's at least the way I see it. One thing that is bothering me about the Legends one is, I've just been doing it the whole video, this armor for me is leaning. It's like slouching, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting this one piece to just adjust nicely, because then it kind of slouches the other way, which is going to bother me. I don't think that's going to make or break it for this round. I do think my display compatibility round goes to the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster. It's, you know, it's going to scale better with the Hulk, in my opinion. I think it's going to look a little better, you know, standing next to a Hulk. So that's why it's taking this round. Just squeezing in the overall victory for this one is the Marvel Legends 85th Anniversary Hulkbuster Armor Iron Man. You know, this was a close one to call. Both these figures are pretty good. You know, I still really love the paint scheme on the Selects one. I think that it just looks really good. I don't necessarily know if I'll be getting rid of either one of these just to have one on my display. I might keep both on my display, have it as, you know, the evolution of the Hulkbuster armor, if you will. But I do think they are both really cool, and if you are looking to get a Hulkbuster armor for your display, really think either of these would be a good, you know, good option. But I do think this is probably the superior one at the end of the day. So that's where my vote is going. I would love to hear what you think about this. Which Hulkbuster Armor Iron Man do you think is the better one? Do you think one is, you know, a better bang for your buck? Please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Dan. You've all been pretty awesome. I'll see you around. Well, there we go. What did you think of this video? Sound off in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Remember, we are making a push to get to 700 subscribers here on the channel. If we do that before the HasLab Giant Man arrives, I will be giving away the old Toy Biz Giant Man Build-A-Figure that you've seen on my shelf and things like that. So hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit like if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Come get